Give us some more like specific insights from Stoics. I mean, we've sort of touched upon it in saying that changing your attitude as opposed to trying to change everything around you. But what are some others?
Okay, sure. And they all kind of have different twists there. Like, let me do one because we're practicing with Aquinas of Seneca, because Rufus and Epictetus and Aurelius wrote in Greek, and as far as I know, Thomas wasn't particularly fluent in Greek, though he commissioned people to give him nice translations like of Aristotle. But he knew Seneca. He knew Seneca well. He knew Cicero, who wasn't strictly speaking a Stoic, but who told us a lot about the Stoics. But Thomas borrows from Seneca in several places in the Summa Theologica. One of my favorites is when he talks about the virtue of gratitude and how it serves justice. So Seneca wrote a book called On Benefits, and a lot of it is about what is gratitude, what's ingratitude. He talks about the different ways you should manifest it. Like he says, if someone does you a favor, he says, don't be in a hurry to do something back for them right away, because then they might feel like they put an obligation on you because they did something good for you, and that's not what they intended, Or Seneca said, what's the greatest way to show ingratitude? And he said, well, just by forgetting the deed, whatsoever. He says, ideally, you should show gratitude. If you can't pay it back, at least by talking the person up, by thanking them or speaking well about them to other people. So Thomas, when discussing gratitude and then the vice of ingratitude in the Summa, he cites Seneca there actually more than Aristotle or even the church fathers in Scripture for that particular topic, because Seneca dealt into it so deeply. And of course, Thomas baptizes it, Christianizes it, And in one line from Thomas, for example, he says that we should not go around as punishers of the ungrateful, those with ingratitude. He said, rather we should act as physicians and try to heal their ingratitude by giving them multiple doses of the benefits of good deeds, So we're basically going to try to just keep giving them chances to show gratitude by not withholding, doing good things for them. So that's one on gratitude. When St. Thomas talks about the passion of anger, Aristotle wrote about, and a big influence on Thomas, that, there's times we need to be angry, but it needs to be for the right reasons, at the right person, at the right time, in order to maybe to stop them from hurting others, and maybe after delay so we don't act too rashly. And sometimes the Stoics are portrayed as saying that you should never be angry at all. And I know like Albert Ellis, the modern psychologist who built on the Stoics, he used to go say that. They said that he would say, nope, anger is never rational. I heard people say he would get in debates, and they said it seemed like he's getting really angry, trying to get his point across. But anyway, Seneca, wrote a book on anger, De Ira, and Thomas basically tries to reconcile Aristotle and Seneca, saying it's mainly a different use of word meanings.
This is in the Summa he does this?
And he does it in the Summa when he's talking about the passion of anger would that be probably the first part of the second part, probably. But he's showing how they can be reconciled, because he's basically saying that, like something like anger would come in stages. Like something might provoke you, like somebody steps on your toe, or an inanimate object, you hit your head on the cabinet and you might want to smack that darn cabinet, right? So we have these inborn reflexes, but what determines whether you let the passion build or whether it becomes a sin is what do you do with that first impulse. So he's saying what he thinks that Seneca himself said, that, you can't control reflexive impulses. That can be there. He says, but if you go further down the line, you can determine what you do with that anger, if you channel it the right way or not. So Thomas is saying, in his opinion, Seneca and Aristotle, if you read deeply, they're basically on the same page. And there's other places he borrows from Seneca.
So this idea of the Stoic who is completely indifferent to the events that are unfolding before him, is that not the case, or it is the case with some Stoics and not others?
Yeah. Now, if you read from particular Stoics, and two, you're going to read maybe they're not completely consistent. You might read certain passages that might think that no emotion at all or no passion at all, but usually they distinguish between bad passions, bad feelings, depression, anger, and so forth, and eupathia, or good feelings. And they want us to have good feelings. They want us to be able to experience joy and things like that. So usually, if we're saying the Stoics are Mr. Spock, or they're robots, that's kind of a caricature. It's small s.
Good to know.
Small s Stoicism, because they really say that the emotions we experience should be the ones that accompany a virtuous life. So we're not going to try to squash those. To think that just means totally quelling the virtues. If you read the Stoics themselves, like Rufus and Epictetus and Seneca and Aurelius. You see, it's really more than that. They're more about reining in the passions or emotions that can get a lot of us in trouble. And they can help. Like myself, I've been doing reading their stuff for 40 years. And sometimes something happens and I find myself, have an instant reaction. But then if all goes well, I'll think, okay, no, I need to calm myself down and react to this differently. So in a way, sometimes I say they kind of function as tools or instruments. Christ told us to love, God with all our heart and strength and mind and with all that we are, and to love our neighbor as ourself. But it can be hard to actually go out and do that if you're always getting angry all the time, or if you're too depressed, or if you're always worried. And the Stoics can help us rein all that in to really fulfill those commandments better, because we're in better control of our own emotions.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.